Welcome back to episode 16 of Backyard Brawl. Today, we're not talking, we are talking the Sixers. It's not going to be a 5-second segment because they've disappointed us. The young guys, the 10-day guys, the two-way guys, get us a win on a back-to-back. So that was nice. We're going to touch on that. We will get into the Eagles. Last week when we made our episode, we hadn't even signed Reek Woolen. That happened later that evening. A couple other signings, and then Dallas Goedert, surprisingly. Well, maybe not as surprising yesterday, but surprising to our time of last week. We didn't think there was any chance we'd have him back. They get Dallas Goedert back, so that's good. So Eagles had a good week. I've been impressed. Um, Touch a little bit on the WBC. USA is into the finals. We don't know who they will play yet. Aaron Nola on the bump today for Italy. Uh,
Which they thought it was going to be what's his face, Lorenzen.
Lorenzen, but they're getting Nola up. Um, we're going to touch on March Madness. We have a bracket. It was a good week of basketball in the conference championship week. And then might have a question at the end. A couple things. We'll let a little bit of bullshit. But yeah, let's jump right into the Sixers. So Sixers, I think they've won 3 of 4, I believe. They beat Memphis, I think, maybe at the start of the week. They, hold on. Um, they had beaten Memphis at the start of the week. They lost to Detroit. Little expectation there. But I thought they competed hard. They hung around in the first half, and then, you know, Detroit is better than we are. Simple.
Yeah.
They probably are better than us with a healthy team. We were. I don't know if Joel has played against them this year, but we were 0-2 against them prior. So and then they come back. They beat who'd they beat the first? They beat the Nets. Hideous game. Please nobody go and watch that. If you need a game to watch, just watch something else. And they beat Portland last night. Who
They
Portland's like
split.
a
They split.
yeah.
They split on the year with Portland. I mean, the
Portland's like
game,
a
our first game against Portland was, I mean, everybody
bad.
was hurt. There was nobody
Uh,
playing
I mean Maxi
because that was the
played.
game. That was the game Lowry played. I'm pretty sure. Like what? 10
I
minutes,
mean
15
Lowry.
minutes.
Lowry was he played in the first. They were actually up at halftime, and then Portland. I think that game Portland made like 20 something threes. Tamani Kamara made 8 threes in that game. I didn't take anything away from losing the Portland Trailblazers by like 30 points,
Well,
but they responded.
our friend is a so-called Blazers fan. So we took a lot
Oh,
of shit
makes
from
sense.
him, but it was greeted with silence. No,
Yeah,
no, no, but nobody said a word.
he claims he's a Cavs fan, he's a Packers fan, he's a Yankees fan. He likes the NHL, but he can't name 5 players. Who knows with him? But they responded last night well. So listen, no Oubre for 2 weeks.
Which is
Oubre played.
strange. That's strange. That's
I
weird to
didn't.
me.
It was weird to me because he finished the game before that he played, and there was no evidence of injury. Now I don't know anything about injuries. I don't know.
He's had past experiences with the bicycle and fucking
Yeah,
who knows. What did you
I don't.
text?
I'm not.
Something happened with you saw something on Twitter
Oh no,
or
I just
something
made
else
that up.
happened. Oh, I thought that was real. I was like
No, no,
looking on
no,
Twitter for 10 minutes trying to find where you got that from and I'm like, is this even fucking real? I don't even know if this is real.
no. I was just bullshitting. Uh, but yeah, it was weird because he played great against Memphis, and then the next day you're like Kelly Oubre's out 2 weeks with an LCL sprain in his elbow, and I'm like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
Uh, you add on top of that Maxi's injury, which I get it. Tyrese is a fighter. For some reason, Nick Nurse isn't willing to concede games. Like they'll be down 10 with a minute left,
Well, they were
and
down
he'll be
six at this point. They were down.
no. I don't know what the scenario. I don't know what the exact scenario was.
They were down by 6 points with like 15 seconds left. There is a chance to tie the game. It's a
I
minimal
don't
chance.
I don't get the sense. Here, you
But
talk for a
I
second
know
because it
they were
felt
down by
like to me
six.
watching they were down by more, and then
Well,
because they got the steal.
When I checked on Real prior to that sequence, they were down by like 11 points, 10 points. And I'm like, oh, the game's over. So I turned off the TV or no, I switched to the Flyers game because the Flyers were in a shootout with maybe it was Pittsburgh I can't or Boston. I can't even remember. But
That's not a good enough video.
I guess I mean someone hit a late game three, someone on the Sixers, and then they were within
They were down by
three or within
they were down by
six.
7.
Yeah.
They're down by 7, which feels like more than 6 because you make a 3 and it's still not a two. It's still not a one possession game, which is weird
Yeah.
in a
I mean,
sport that one
people
point.
people want to blame Nurse. People want to blame Nurse. I don't think necessarily that's a spot where you can blame the head coach. Now he's obviously done other bad stuff throughout the entire season, and you're right, he's not good at conceding games. But I would say if you're down by less than 10 with, I don't know, like a few seconds left, I don't see any point in taking out your starter. Because who really think that something like that's going to happen?
Well,
Genuinely.
you're not thinking something like that's going to happen, but what I will say is, um, I, they weren't going to win. I get it early in the year against the Hawks. They had kind of one of these crazy comebacks where Maxi that game actually made 1-3 and it was to tie the game late after a rebound on a free throw. Um, and I get it, you had done it to the Hawks already this year, but I feel like there's certain nights they weren't going to win the game. Maxi's played a lot of minutes already. Just take him out. Because you can always listen, you get another steal, you make a 3. Atlanta's probably going to call a timeout. And then if you decide, okay, we're going to put you back in the game, we have a chance to maybe get back in it, go right ahead. But for the most part in the NBA, pressure release is pretty good. Guys make their free throws. It's hard to make these comebacks. Like, I don't know how much college you watched this week with it being on. Like,
Decent amount.
all the time. I know you watched the Penn game yesterday. All the time you see these like steals, crazy stuff happening because the traps are much harder in college. Like it just doesn't happen in the NBA. So I'm not blaming Nurse fully. I put a little more blame on Bona. Sorry, foul. Because he's out of control. Everything he does is out of control. I get it. He's playing hard at the end of the game. You can't you cannot fucking run into your teammate. You
Yeah.
can't run into your
Yeah.
teammate. I don't care who it is because you're like damn near the biggest guy on the floor and you run into your teammate, you're probably going to injure anybody.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just our luck. I mean, we see like Markel Fultz ran into Joel and broke his face. Like, it's just like,
Well,
it's unlucky.
that leads me into like one of my points I wanted to make here on the show. Every season, and I saw King of the Fourth Quarter, so that guy Kenny, whatever his name is.
Kenny Beecham.
Yeah, he's correct, and I think all Sixers fans know every season is essentially the same since around maybe I guess you could say 2020 or 2019, whatever it was.
All right,
Every
probably
season,
before.
yeah, every season feels the same way. You start off the year, they start off pretty hot. Aside from last year, I mean, I completely scratched last year off
Hmm.
my memory, but they start the year hot. The media not blows the team up, but they're kind of like, oh, this could be a different Sixers team. We get closer and closer to the deadline. We think that the front office is going to make all these moves, do whatever. Nothing happens. They'll trade like, a guy like Eric Gordon, like they did this year. And you'll hear the same bullshit stuff from Daryl Morey, like, oh, well, we tried to do this, but it really didn't end up happening. And you'll have the occasional shakeup at the deadline, like something with McCain, where they're going to trade McCain. They get a mid first round pick. They don't do anything with the picks within the deadline period. And you're stuck in a shitty situation. And I think to add on top of it this year, people want to criticize Joel, which I basically blocked out all negativity that goes Joel's way because after that article came out, you do see kind of how shitty of a person he can be. I think from a teammate aspect, people don't give him credit. This guy came out and said, please don't duck the tax. We need a fucking build. We need to do everything we possibly can to win. And I think every year since 2019 or whatever, you know what, even like you said earlier than that, this organization has just accepted losing. They've accepted the art of losing and trying to rebuild, and it's been way too long. And then you get stuck in this endless cycle of, well, there's hope next year, and we can make it past the second round. We haven't made it past the second round in what, 40 years, 50 years, just about, almost, or no, oh one, but you know what I mean.
I was about to
What are you
go in.
smiling at?
I was
Yeah,
about to
no,
go in. I'm like
not
50
40, 50.
years.
No, 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 no. But oh one, oh one, oh one. We haven't won a championship in 40, 50 years, is what I meant
Yeah,
to
that's
say.
true.
So we just get caught in this endless cycle as fans where we become overly optimistic midway through the year, and then it all comes crashing down around this point in time. And maybe it's a curse, call it whatever you want with all the injuries and stuff like that. But I don't know.
I think it
I
just
just
hurts
think it.
that that
It
the East,
sucks.
like, I think you look at the top of the East, I think there was an opportunity for a team like the Sixers to slip in and compete. And that's kind of it's going to be they have made it very tough on themselves through, injuries, and it is unlucky. Like your own player runs into your franchise guy. That's unluck. That's being unlucky. And maybe an injury was looming. I mean, most years Maxey has missed games in his career. I don't know what the most games he's played, but I know basically every year of his career, I think outside of maybe his first 2 years, he has missed time. Um, so, maybe that's fatigue and wear from Nurse playing him. He basically plays every night. Maxey has played 75 games, the most he's ever played. That was his second season. Other than that, 70 games, the most he's played. So, I mean, missing, he's not an Iron Man like a Mikal Bridges where he plays every night. But it
Is
feels
that
like when
near the
he's
most? Is that at the top of the list for any starter in the league?
what? Oh, probably not.
75? You
Probably
don't think
not.
so?
No, because I mean, no, there's probably guys that have played, every night. But yeah, it's just they don't make great moves at the deadline. If they can't get a star player at the deadline, I don't know how hard they look at the deadline to get role players. I don't know because I actually thought for what it was, Morey had a good deadline last year when he was selling. Like I liked the Quentin Grimes trade, getting rid of
Yeah.
Caleb Martin to bring in Quentin Grimes. Like I thought that was a good move. They got rid of Reggie Jackson for something, whatever it was. Uh,
Shame.
but like you hear stuff come out like they went after Kawhi Leonard hard.
Yeah.
You're wasting your time.
Yeah.
The
And we don't
deadline
hear
ain't
about we don't hear about till after the fact, obviously, but it just I think it just makes fans more frustrated.
the deadline is not ever long. Like you're wasting your time on the phone with the Clippers trying to get Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard has been like a top 5 player in the NBA this year, and they've won. They started the year 6-21. They've won like they're right in the hunt in the West.
No.
They're in the play-in. So like I don't know. I think Morey has some incompetence, but I think my biggest point was that I've liked seeing the young guys go out there and compete, and no matter who it's against, they've pulled games out. I think we've asked a lot of VJ the past couple games, and I think he's done some good things. He got on the glass last night. He made a really big shot down the stretch. There's obviously some imperfections, like last night they were up like 7 or 8 at the end of the game with like under a minute left. Justin Edwards drives the ball into the lane, turns it over. I mean, stuff like that's gonna happen. But Justin Edwards has been playing well in the minutes that he's gotten. Adem Bona played well the game against the Nets. Did a lot of little things. Uh, who else have I liked? I think Marjan Beauchamp is a
Mhm.
is a nice player. I'm not saying he's fully healthy he's going to play, but I'm saying for now he's contributing. Campaign has been much better since when he got here. He was bad. Now he's been doing much better. Um, who else is Trendon Watford is a pretty
He's been
consistent
all
player.
right.
You,
Yeah.
you know what you're going to get. He drives the ball well. He's patient. He's a good passer. And Quentin Grimes had some big nights when they needed him to step up and have big games. So, I'm just they're in the thick of it. They're not going to go far, but because they don't have their draft pick anyway, just try and get in.
Yeah,
Try and
there's
get
no
in.
point in
There were
tanking. There's
people
no
there were
point.
people
Yeah.
saying try and get as bad as you can. I'm like, it's not even worth it. Just try and get
Yeah.
in and it's cool with me.
Well, I think fans are on the fence. I don't think they really care whether they try or not. I don't think anyone wants to all like flat out just start losing, but I think if fans started to see a dip in production, then
And think that
I
people
think
think they were going to lose.
people would be
Uh
comfortable with it and wouldn't care.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I mean, we'll see. Joel could be back this week. They play Denver tomorrow. It's going to be a very tough
Yeah.
game. They have, I think, Utah coming up. Minnesota comes into
I
town.
mean, what George is back in what, 4 games, five
Yeah, it's
games? So
well, it's 9 days, but it's four games, 9 days.
I feel comfortable enough with this starting lineup that we're going to get out of the play-in. I'm not even talking about the actual playoffs itself because you're probably going to end up playing a team like Boston or a team like Detroit or something like that. But only thing I'm really concerned about is how well that the starting five is going to play together coming back. I mean, they're all coming back from injury. They haven't played with George in what? 20 something games, something like that. Embiid's been out since the end of January, it seems like. So I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up of how they're all going to play together. VJ hit a wall at, at this point in the season, and then obviously
I don't know if I would say I
the
don't know
back
if I would
injury.
say I don't know if I would say hit a wall because you're asking him to be the number one option when coming into the year he was supposed to be the fourth option.
Well, I'm not saying it's his fault. It's not his fault at all, but he's been
Also, I mean
overplayed.
his shooting percentage, he's been struggling from three since he came back from the little lumbar thing. But I mean, he's still his mid-range game is still pretty fluent. He's good as a downhill driver. He's a good defender. I wouldn't say overall it's hit a wall. I would just say his 3-point percentage probably took a hit.
Mhm. Speaking of 3-point percentage, you still see the fans complaining and having their words about the McCade situation.
I don't even want to get into it. I just don't want to talk about it.
You don't have any change of heart. I don't. I'm not
No, I
saying
don't
I do.
care.
I'm
I
not
don't
saying I
care.
do, but
He's not
I mean
here. I don't care.
I made the point with you and your dad when I was at your house. Nobody made this big a deal when Landry Shamet was traded. Nobody made this big
I
of a
mean,
deal.
Landry Shamet was only here for like 40 games.
He's still one of those guys who can come off the bench and give you
Yeah,
10, 11
but
points a game.
I mean, but it was also like they had just gotten Butler, then they traded Landry Shamet for Tobias Harris. I think what people are frustrated is like you traded Jared McCain and didn't get anything that we have in our hands right now. We have
Yeah, that's why
we
I'm frustrated. That's why I'm frustrated. But fans aren't
I
frustrated. A
don't care.
majority of fans aren't frustrated about that. They're mad that McCain is not on the team.
Fuck him. No, he's a good dude. He's a good dude. I wish him the best, but he's not here. I don't know. Go root
Who
for the
cares?
Thunder. Go be
Yeah,
bandwagons and root for the Thunder if you love them
yeah,
so much.
no.
So yeah, that'll wrap up the Sixers. We'll see. Next episode we won't have PG back quite yet, but we could get Joel back this week, so that'll be nice. All right.
Let's take a pivot. Let's pivot to the Eagles, our birds.
Yeah, let's go down the street, Lincoln Financial. Eagles start off the week Monday. Monday around 7, 8. It's announced they signed Tariq Woolen, 1 year, $15 million from the Seattle Seahawks. Um, Strong, long, physical corner. He's got good speed, good ball skills. Um, you know, the biggest issue is actually sometimes he can get lost with his technique. It happened. I watched a video on it. He had to play a play in the NFC Championship against Puka Nacua and then a play early in the season. But cornerbacks have their moments. It's a tough job.
I mean, the guy's
And then the
6'4". I can't even
yeah.
complain. He's one of the
Oh,
biggest
I'm not
corners in the
complaining at
league,
all.
and he's our third guy. He's our third guy.
I'm just giving a basic
Yeah.
evaluation. Biggest concern with him, I think, is like emotional stuff. He had that stupid penalty in the NFC Championship game that kind of kept the Rams actually like alive. Um, but yeah, I love the signing. I have no issues. I mean, we know cornerback two was something that they wanted to address, and they went out and they got one of the top guys. So couldn't be more happy.
Well, in his interview, I was pretty pleased with the way he presented himself in his interview. He kind of owned how how
How
his
he acts.
behavior
Hmm.
is and how he acts in game, which honestly is better than a guy coming in here and being like, "Man, I don't do any of that type of shit anymore, whatever, blah blah blah." But it was kind of refreshing to see a guy, especially a cornerback,
Kind of
own up
reminds
to
me
how
of
he acts.
C.J. Gardner Johnson, the way that he was in his
Yeah,
introductory part, saying like,
yeah,
I talk shit, I'm gonna get in the guy's face, like,
hmm
and that's kind of, somewhat that's
yeah.
like what Philly
Now
is.
I'm sure the discourse will change when I don't
It
know
happens,
we're in week 8 and it actually happens and it costs
right?
us
Hmm.
a game maybe or a touchdown. So
Yeah,
yeah.
but you like the signing as well,
I like it a lot. I have
hmm
no problem with it. I mean, he just came off a Super Bowl winning team, so
right?
how could you really complain?
Yeah,
I mean,
I
he
agree.
knows what it takes to win. It's not like you're signing some schmuck off the Dolphins or something like that, who we've barely
Yeah,
heard of. I mean, Ross Tucker had a lot of good things to say about him.
yeah, I like
He was
Ross
on the
Tucker.
sideline for the NFC Championship. He said, despite all the bullshit that he says in game, that he backs it up with the way he plays.
Yeah.
So I have no reason to complain.
Next move the Eagles made, if we're being technical, is they signed Johnny Munt. Uh, any thoughts? Good blocking tight end.
Well,
Last
it
year they
was
kind of
weird because they brought back Calcaterra. I thought Calcaterra was going to end up being their their main tight end going into the
For
season. I
yeah.
didn't think Goddard was going to come back, and it
Well, they would
seems
have.
like
They would have. I think it would have been a real possibility if they hadn't brought Goddard back that they looked to go
an
tight end.
Njoku, but I
Well, I
wasn't
know they were.
hearing much about it. I wasn't hearing
I
much about
heard. I
signing
heard
Njoku.
they were engaged with interested in David Njoku, and then I think it would have been a real possibility. I think it would have been unlikely because their tendency is always to build through the trenches, and they still do need a safety, um, but. I think it was possible that they went Eli Stowers or Kenyon Sadiq in the draft, but
Hmm.
that's obviously a moot conversation now.
Who's the
Uh,
kid from Oregon?
Kenyon Sadiq,
Oh, no, who's the
yeah.
white kid from Oregon? Or was that it? Was he a corner?
Oh, Dylan Tiedemann, he's like
No, I
a
don't. Yeah,
linebacker. He's a
maybe. I
safety.
don't know.
There's
Uh,
Bryce. They've got a couple guys on defense, a linebacker, a safety, but they signed Johnny Munt, good blocking tight end from what I've read.
Bunting.
Not, gosh, not not much to say on that front. They also signed Arnold Ebiketie, which I actually like that signing. His production rate is not incredibly high, or his usage rate is not abnormally high, but his production rate for the number of snaps he played is very good. It was a cheap signing. He's a Temple. He played at Temple, played at Penn State, familiar with the area. So you know, I like bringing guys home.
I
But
completely missed that one. I didn't even see that.
I think that there's still it was like a late it was like at 9:30 on like
Mm.
Wednesday or something, Thursday. I get the sense that they're not done at edge. Max Crosby is back on the market. That also I don't think was known at the time we made the podcast. Max Crosby is back on the market. So the Eagles are going to be engaged there, trying to probably make that move. Another one is Jonathan Grenard from Minnesota. I know that the Eagles have interest in him. Another thing, just to touch while we're talking about edge today, Jalen Phillips today or whenever had kind of said that the Eagles, like he was engaged in conversation with the Eagles, but he got a better deal from Carolina. Um, but apparently the Eagles were willing to offer that $25 million. That's what I'm seeing. So
I don't. I
somebody's
wouldn't
lying.
have paid. Yeah, I wouldn't have
I
paid.
wouldn't have loved it, but he's never
I
had
didn't
more than
like
eight
the
and a half
idea.
sacks.
I didn't like the idea of 17 to 20 million. I thought it was just way too much money for a guy who's what torn his ACL once
A
or
couple
twice,
times.
whatever it was. Yeah, and has had two sacks the entire season, and he played almost a full season this year. Only had two sacks. So I don't know. I
Yeah,
guess
I
because of
mean
the DN market. I know who was it? Who else got $100 million or something like that?
Hendrickson.
Yeah. No, not Hendrickson. Some black defensive end. I forget his name. Maybe he's from
That's
Detroit or something.
helpful. That's
I
helpful.
don't know. I don't know.
That's a helpful clue.
Well, I
Um,
mean, the other one was a white guy.
uh, yeah, I mean, I liked getting Arnold Ebiketie for cheap, and then just yesterday, Dallas Goedert back to the Eagles, 1 year, $7 million, or no, yeah, I think it was $7 million.
Yeah, and a
1 year,
$4
seventy
million
million
like
dollars.
bonus.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were kicking kind of the bucket for a couple days. They were extending deadlines to where they
Hmm.
could kind of work something out, and then they got something done. Um, the report is, as of now, like we always have to mention with this, is the AJ Brown trade thing is kind of still at, they can keep both of them. That's actually the best case scenario, I believe, is that they keep both of them. Um, they said a trade doesn't look like it's happening now, but post June 1, it's definitely going to be a real possibility.
Well,
Uh,
I saw if they trade him post June 1st, they're still going to eat $20 million. So it won't be all 40 million, but they're still going to eat $20 million on the cap,
I think
which
he's
isn't
going to be
ideal.
back.
Which isn't ideal, but exactly it gives you another reason why I think they're not going to let this guy. Well, I think Howie's much smarter than that.
I think
I
he's
think
going to be
Howie's much
back.
smarter than that. I
Apparently,
think he
the
wants to give
Rams.
the. I really think it was the Patullo thing. That's what
I
I think it was. I think he wants to give it another shot with a new coordinator.
Yeah, I think I saw today that the I don't know what to believe anymore because everybody has their own spin and story on this, and something new comes out. Whether it's Diana Rossini,
Well,
Ian
she's been
Rappaport.
wrong a few times. She's even been wrong
Who
as of late a
knows,
few
man? Who
times.
knows? But
I don't know.
the Rams are supposedly out. The Patriots are still in on him, so we'll see. But back to Goddard. I think this is a huge deal. I mean, Jalen in his career has always been best when Dallas Goedert is on the field. Even the
Yeah.
seasons that Jalen's been really good throwing the ball, the games that Dallas Goedert has missed, he's struggled a little bit. You know, Dallas Goedert is the guy that he's most comfortable, I think, letting the ball eat over the middle of the field in that 15 to 20 yard range, throwing down the seams, all that stuff. I think that's who he's most comfortable throwing the ball to in those spaces. So I think it's a big deal that he's back. I think he's one of Jalen's guys. He's a great locker room guy. We know that. People gravitate to him. So I'm over the moon that they were able to bring him back. I think he loved Philly too.
I like it. I think there was one person who said they didn't like it on the radio this morning. I forget who it was. They were like, I think $7 million is even still too much. I'm like, dude, regardless of if he didn't get the amount of money he was looking for in the tight end market, which is really what it seems like, teams probably came. He was probably going to teams asking for. I mean, I don't know the numbers of how much he was
Well, I don't
asking
know what
for.
other contracts were like. I don't know what Isaiah Likely got. I don't know what
Yeah, I don't
Chig
know.
Okonkwo
No one knows
got.
what Njoku's going to get. No one has any idea. But I guess I'm happy I'm happy and I'm shocked that he decided to return on another 1 year deal for not a
Definitely.
lot of money at all. At all. I mean, he's also the only guy who it seems this past season who they threw the ball across the middle to.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody else was getting the ball across the middle aside from Darius Cooper in the NFC champion or in the wild card.
Yeah, dude,
So
Isaiah Likely
it's
got
nice. It's nice.
3 years, 40 million. I know it's a 1 year deal and it's technically $11 million, but I mean, Dallas Goedert's a better tight end than Isaiah Likely. I can tell you that.
Dallas
So
Goedert's a top five tight end in the league.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it's a good deal. I think it's team friendly. Um, the next time we'll see. I mean, we could always pivot back to the Eagles at some point, but the draft is coming up in a month, so at some point we got to dive into the nitty gritty of the draft, what the Eagles
Mhm.
will need. But yeah, I think for how free agency started and we weren't making any moves and people were panicking, it's turned out I think to be nice. I think they've made some nice acquisitions. I think they've made some moves. Restructured Landon Dickerson's deal. I think we touched on this last week, but my guess would be that his career is in the back stages. Um,
Yes.
and he wanted to, again, help the team get a year off his books, get a year off the books. But yeah, I mean, for what people were saying, like with the money situation, I'm very, very happy.
Yeah, I can't complain. I can't
Yeah.
complain. Only thing we have to complain about as fans is the AJ Brown situation, which
Yeah. And the
I think
Eagles
is
have
leaning
been
more and
very
more closer to a return.
and the Eagles have been very quiet on it and not making a big deal. So, I mean, let WIP, let Diana Rossini, let all these NFL Network guys, let them
Mhm.
talk, do whatever. Um, yeah. Did you watch the WBC game last night? I was watching the Oscars, and then I watched
I wa I mean I
I
was
watched the
so
final. I watched the final at bat, which turned out to be, you know, the controversial point. But
yeah, so I watched like the first 4 innings and then I went to shower. Then I like ended up falling asleep for a bit on the couch. And then I tuned back in around the ninth inning. What a terrible way to end it.
yeah,
Um, I mean, I think it's weird for Jeff Passan. I get he's a baseball writer. Um, to me, the World Baseball Classic it's interesting, it's fun, it's exciting. I don't feel the most patriotic about it
no,
compared to hockey or compared to the Four Nations or like the World Cup or something like that. I like baseball. I don't. Even Bryce Harper said it. It's not a big deal. Essentially, no one
I
really
didn't see that.
fucking cares. No, well, he implied it in his press conference talking about the Olympics, where he's like, we should get baseball into the Olympics. If baseball was in the Olympics, that's a whole different story because it's a gold. It's for the gold.
Gold medal. It's gold
It's for
medal.
the
Yeah,
gold medal, and you want to have guys who aren't fucking half British, half a quarter of Italian playing for, Team
yeah.
Italy
If
or
it
Team
goes into
Britain
the
or something like that.
Olympics,
I mean, I had no idea Austin Wells was Dominican. I had no idea. That took me by surprise when I saw him on TV.
it has to be shrunk. And I think it would be just because like you actually have to qualify for the Olympics. This I don't know the criteria for this one anyway. Um, but yeah, I thought it was a bad call. What was your gripe with Jeff Passan? I saw the tweet at the end that was like game can't end like that, but I didn't see what he was
Yeah,
saying.
it was just odd the way he was wording it. Like the game cannot end like that. It didn't sound anti-American. I just thought it was a little strange. He had another tweet in the middle of the game as well, talking about
I'm gonna take a
I
peek.
think like the balls and strike system again prior to that. But it was just strange to me. I mean, he's a great insider, a great reporter, but came off anti-American in my opinion.
That game cannot end like that. A shame. That is a bad strike three call on Juan Soto in the eighth inning. Shouldn't happen, period. Absolutely cannot happen in a game like this. Uh, yeah, that's probably what you're referring to. I mean,
Yeah,
listen,
but he also gives Team USA a lot of credit.
he's not
So
a USA baseball. He's an American baseball writer. He's not a Team USA baseball writer. So,
yeah,
his job is to cover the game of baseball. It wasn't, listen, we're sitting here saying it was a fair assessment that it was a bad call, but
it's a
stuff
terrible
like that
call.
happens throughout the course of the game. There was a
Yeah,
couple other calls I thought that, Miller got in the ninth inning that could have gone the other way. Um, but kudos to the pitching staff for the United States. They showed up big. For what this lineup is, man, they've
they're
struggled some.
struggling. They're
They've
struggling.
struggled some. It's been some of the guys that you didn't expect to be making. I
Harper,
mean,
Raleigh.
they're good. I mean, Roman Anthony is going to be a really good player from what I've been told, but I mean, you would think that it would be the other guys on this roster that were stepping up, not who had the RBIs last night? Henderson and I think
And
Anthony had I think
yeah.
both homered. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I hope the USA wins. We don't know who they'll play, so we'll talk
Yeah.
about that next week. We'll talk at the end who we have coming on next week. But next week is going to be like a full baseball episode. The season starts like 2 days after we plan on releasing that episode. So we'll get into baseball kind of next week. The other big kind of tournament style stuff going on is the NCAA tournament is here, March Madness.
Yeah.
Um, Now I count March Madness. When I consider March Madness, it's like I view it as the conference tournaments and the NCAA tournaments. I think that all is March Madness. I think it's not just, on the courts, like it says March Madness on the NCAA tournament floors, but the conference tournaments it's all one big thing to me.
Yeah.
It was a great week, conference tournament, basketball, the stars were out. Darius Acuff from Arkansas, he was awesome all
Hmm.
week. Um, I know you have in your bracket a sleeper team who won the American Conference, but they're a team to watch. Michigan went down to Purdue. Purdue went on a nice little run through the Big Ten. You also had Duke continuing to dominate despite being down two starters, two important players.
Hmm.
Um, in the Big 12, Arizona, keeps dominating. They are a one seed. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it's my favorite. It's my favorite playoff. If it's my favorite playoff format, it's easy to
It's the
watch.
most exciting,
Yeah, I mean,
easily.
I was saying like this is like little stuff that contributes, but like the fact that they March Madness creates a free app that allows you to watch all the games for free on a
Hmm.
phone app. I mean, that is
Yeah.
not the time we are living in.
It's rare. It's incredibly
Yeah,
and the fact that they play in the middle of the day.
the
The
day,
middle of
right?
the
It's
day. So
awesome.
everybody, whether you're at work, whether you're at school, stay at home mom, whatever, you can just flip the games. You don't even have to watch. Just keep it on as like background.
Yeah, and
And then
check
you
the
tune
score.
in you tune in if like an 11 seed is beating a fucking 4 seed,
Six
whatever
seed.
the fuck it is. Yeah, sick that who cares? Whatever it is. Like so
Yeah,
that's
it's
why I
awesome.
like it. That's why I enjoy it.
So you have a bracket made. I do not. I can talk
Yeah.
about a little bit, kind of the teams that I like, some of the matchups that I think are fun. But do you want to just talk your final four? Talk any
Yeah,
picks?
so
Go ahead.
I'll talk my final four. I don't have many reasons behind why. In fact, really none at all. I never grew up with a team to root for college. I just never really cared. I always hated Villanova. That was kind of like my big thing. I didn't like Penn State when it came to football. But uh, with my final four, I've got now bear with me here. I've got Florida in the east slash south. I got Florida versus South Florida. I think it's going to be a battle of the Panhandle or whatever the Panhandle State, whatever. The West slash the Midwest, I have Gonzaga versus Michigan. I think
Okay.
Michigan's really fucking good. They're the one seed. Gonzaga. I think people who just throw every one seed in there, it's not the way to do it. I kind of pick based off of who I've heard is decent, but I'm a big Cinderella guy. I mean, every single year I've had above a 10 seed making it to at least the Elite Eight. So I kind of just keep doing that every year. And last year I picked Florida to win and Florida won. So my bracket was pretty accurate. But in total, the national champion, I've got Florida. I've
Okay.
got Florida.
Yeah,
Don't
I
ask me
mean,
why. I don't know. I don't watch enough college basketball.
just to touch on your Final Four, South Florida, uh, watched them a bunch this year because being in Temple's conference, Temple actually beat them. Uh, you know, they play fast. Brian Hodgson's from the Nate Oates tree. They play fast.
I was at a
Um,
restaurant too when I watched South Florida win this weekend. So that's also
nice.
why I picked them. I was like, oh, these they
Yeah,
look pretty good. So I just
yeah,
picked
yeah.
them.
Fair. I
If
mean,
Temple was in it, I would pick Temple.
yeah.
I'd be wasting
Uh,
my time, but I mean,
eh,
you know,
next year.
next
Uh,
year.
so South Florida, they play fast. They shoot threes. Wes Enos is a really good player. Isaiah Nelson, Player of the Year in the American. He's a people compare him to Yaxel Lendeborg from Michigan, another guy that won Player of the Year in American a couple years back. Good rebounder, good shot blocker, 15 points a game. Joe Pinion also can shoot it. Um, but yeah, I mean, a lot of people have liked that matchup that they have with Louisville. We don't know if Michael Brown will play for Louisville in the first round. That could make a big difference because Louisville could be thin at guard. It would leave it down to, Javon Hadley, Conwell, Isaac McNeely. So that's an interesting matchup. I could definitely see them winning. I don't know who they would play following that, but I think that's a pick that people have. Um, Michigan, good team. The question with Michigan after losing LJ Kaysen is how is the guard play going to hold up? Uh, but one of the top front courts in the nation. You also have Florida in there again. The question mark is the guard play, but the front court again dominant. It's the best front court in my opinion in the country because of that experience that they have of being there last year. Chinyelu, Condon, Hauk, they were all been there. Um, I think Gonzaga is an interesting one. I do like Gonzaga. It's the best defensive team that Mark Few has had. He's had some guards over the years and some front court, some backcourt players. I don't think his backcourt is as talented offensively, but Graham Ike in the front court is a great player. I don't know if Braden Huff will be playing. That could make a difference. Tyon Grant Foster has played in the tournament. I don't think Jalen Worley has. But yeah, it's an interesting tournament. My matchup that I want to see, and hopefully we get it, is Arkansas Wisconsin in the second round. I would love to see that backcourt matchup: Malik Thomas, Darius Acuff versus Nick Boyd, John Blackwell. That's the matchup that stuck out to me the most. I would love to see that backcourt matchup. Also, dude, get your forehead out of my screen.
I'm looking at the bracket from last year.
Um, St. John's in Kansas, that region up at the top. That's I think it's Duke, UCLA, St. John's, Kansas. Do you have a bracket in front of you?
Yeah, I do.
I
What do you
I
want?
think what's the region Duke's in? What are those?
It's the East. It's Duke, Siena, Ohio State, TCU, St. John's, Northern Iowa, Kansas, Louisville, South Florida, CA Baptist, Michigan State, UCLA versus UCF. I think UCF. I want UCF to win because I fucking
So
hate what's his face.
McFermin
UConn. Yeah, UConn and Furman. You see what he said the other day, by the way? He's
that
like,
he wants to like
I'm
for a
just
nice
looking to go to
restaurant.
dinner to see if I can go to a nice restaurant. Bald-headed fuck. A
Good
fucking
coach.
weirdo. Guy's a loser.
Um, but yeah, to have Hurley, Izzo, Shire, Patino, Self, Cronin, all in the same region, it's loaded. Johnny Dawkins also in that region. That's another great coach. So
I got a question for you though, because I
mhm,
know you've been watching college basketball since what, you were four,
yeah,
whatever it
my whole
is. You've been
life.
paying it your entire life. You're a lifelong Temple fan. You work for the team. How how much harder is it to keep track of who's on who now that there's the transfer portal and that guys aren't staying in college for 3 4 years now? It seems to be 2 years or and done. They don't want to really develop.
I mean, keeping track of where guys are is more of by the end of the season, I've kind of watched most of these teams. Some of the lower conferences I haven't watched as much, but like UMBC out of the American East. I haven't watched them play this year.
Mhm.
Um, but kind of by the end of the year, you kind of have it figured out where guys are. It's more of like a every once in a while, a guy who was a high school recruit will transfer at some point, and then he just kind of pops up out of nowhere on somebody. And you're like, oh, he's there, and he's doing well, and it's like, oh, nice. But when a guy transfers to a big school or whatever, kind of mid-season, end of the year, you're like, oh, lockdown, he's there, and then the big transfers, the big recruits, you know where they end up. So it's less, it's not as difficult probably as you think. Football it is. Football I'll forget where a guy
Yeah.
has ended up, but
Yeah.
basketball
But I
I
mean,
can keep
football,
track.
I mean, you don't need to know who the left guard is on a fucking team
Right.
or their second corner. I feel like, I mean, basketball, it's nice to know the entire roster, especially
Yeah.
around this time of year.
I
Now,
mean,
going back to the tournament, last year, I was looking at the bracket. It was hard to see on my computer. That's why my head was so close to the screen. Also, I wanted everybody to
when are you
see
gonna
my
get a front taper?
crispy lines and edges. I'm never getting a front taper.
You don't
Maybe I'll
you,
get waves for the
you
summer.
should get the front
But I work at
taper.
a golf course. I don't know how people will react if I'm wearing a do-rag and scrubbing their clubs. But we'll see. We'll see where the wind takes me. But regarding going back into the tournament, it seems more and more unlikely every year that we're going to see a major upset
Like a
in
Cinderella team.
March, like a Cinderella team. We haven't seen it since St. Petersburg or whatever it was.
St.
Um,
Peter's.
yeah,
Yeah,
like I
that's
don't know.
Jersey. That's Jersey. You should know that.
I didn't even know that they were a school until
Actually, I don't know if they're from Jersey.
that
I
tournament.
might be
Yes, they
tripping
are.
on that.
Yeah, no, they're Jersey.
Oh.
They're Jersey. But yeah, like it seems less and less likely every year as guys continue to not develop their careers in college and are not staying at the same school. It gives these, smaller market teams not enough of a chance at beating a one seed. It's cool. I mean, teams like this now are cheering about getting in the tournament, which is a good thing, but you would like to see them go decently far or
Yeah,
maybe
well,
upset a one seed. Or what was the team last year who did it?
uh,
Oakland, right? Something like that.
that was a couple of years ago. That was our
Uh,
senior year.
yeah, I can't. I
Last
mean,
year
I
the,
can't even
the the
remember.
furthest somebody went last year was Arkansas. But I can tell you simply like
But that's still with Calipari. Like, I mean,
yeah, no, I'm not saying that's Cinderella. I'm just saying, it's become a thing of it used to be the A10 would get a couple teams in. The uh the A10 would get teams in. You had the runs, where George Mason made a run. VCU had a run. Temple went to the Elite Eight a couple times. St. Joe's went to the Elite Eight. There's different ones that pop up. Florida Gulf Coast. Now you're seeing these automatic qualifiers, but you're not, this year you get a Miami, Ohio out of the MAC that gets an at-large bid, but there was some question marks whether they were the last team in the field but they were one of the last teams in. Um, and you don't usually those last teams in are still ACC, SEC, Big East, the big conferences. Those are the last teams in the field. So now you're basically getting the 31 automatic qualifiers and then the 37 other teams that are in the field. They're all from the Power Five, Power Four, Power Five conferences. So when it comes to the matter of a Cinderella run, like it's just more prominent programs are who is making the tournament. Like Arkansas could be an 11 seed. If Arkansas goes to the Elite Eight under with John Calipari coaching, you're never going to be like they're Cinderella.
Yeah,
So there's less chances because less of these teams from some of the smaller leagues are just getting into the field, and that's just how it kind of is. And but I do think there's some teams this year that have made it. I know McNeese has an interesting matchup. McNeese out of the Southland Conference could be a good team. They won a game last year with Will Wade as their
uh,
coach. Um, High Point is an interesting one. They match up with it's either Arkansas or
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. So
No, it's
hopefully
Wisconsin.
I'd rather see the Wisconsin Arkansas game, but High Point I know is a good team. Um, Trying to think who else. VCU is a good team. They just went on a nice run. Uh, I think VCU can be dangerous. Uh, I think VCU is an 11 seed, right? They play North Carolina. I'd pick an upset there if I were given advice. I don't know if I'll make a bracket. I didn't make one last year. I just like to watch and not, watch to learn. It's a good
Yeah,
learning period for somebody who wants to go into coaching. But I mean, it's my favorite time of the year. So,
yeah, yeah. Well, I do want to pivot because we
all
do
right,
have some news coming out of our landscape of media, Philadelphia landscape. We do a podcast. Obviously, it's not a very big one.
we're getting there though.
We're we're getting there. Remember, 100 subscriber special.
Yes,
Um, a lot coming out because Howard Eskin, who was basically fired from the station that he created, WIP, which was I think it was WISP at a certain around that time. But he created the station, built the whole sports landscape in Philadelphia regarding radio. Um, he now owns a podcast because he's been blacklisted in radio for, you know,
being a
touching,
creep, being a creep.
being a creep at Citizens Bank Park, rubbing up on the Aramark workers who don't get paid enough to be rubbed up on. And
And
even if
and
they
wasn't he
were,
also like overstepping his privileges at like Eagles
yeah,
practice, a bunch of stuff.
yeah, he was doing a bunch of other shit that I don't want to like say anything or put anything out there, even though the five people that are watching don't give a shit.
But
But I just wanted to talk about it. You know what I mean? So
supposedly
basically,
he is not a good guy.
yeah, yeah, smart journalist, whatever you want to call him, but as a person, not great. So he runs a podcast. He had Angelo Cataldi on, who Angelo Cataldi is was the morning show host at WIP for the last like 40, 50 years or something like that. Say what you want about him. He's one of the great radio hosts in the city and the country regarding sports. He's up there with like Francesca and then Mad Dog. Obviously, doesn't get as much publicity, obviously, because he stepped away and he's retired. But he recently went on Howard Eskin's podcast and basically had some stuff to say regarding WIP and what the station is now. This is what Cataldi had to say. I stopped listening. I don't listen at all anymore. The reason is because I would hear something that I would go, well, no, that's not the way you should do it. I did it for 33 years. I know how to do it. It got to the point where it was so frustrating for me that I don't listen. People email me all the time. The Phillies would lose a big playoff game, and the next day the host would talk about how nobly, they fought. That's not the Philadelphia I was in. When you don't win here, you should pay a price. Cataldi built his whole image as a host on negativity. And with the new WIP, you don't see that as much anymore. You still have the hosts who will be negative, and they're usually the nighttime hosts, and they tell it how it is, and some of them are better than others. Spike Eskin responded and was basically like "fuck you" to his own dad. Um,
Do you
it's
have
kind
that
of
message?
ridiculous.
I
I
can pull
have it.
that
It's
one
it's
up.
on Twitter. Yeah, if you want to pull it up, it's on Twitter. In his plethora of tweets.
Yeah, I think he tweets
But
like 100 times a day, so I don't know how I'm gonna find it,
yeah,
but
it's very recent. I think it happened like Saturday or something when you texted me. But it's kind of weird because you hear a lot of shit from fans in the city and people who used to listen to WIP. They have a lot to say. I don't know anything about the ratings at that station. Um, I think they're in a very good spot. As much as people like to hate on them, I think they do a good job. I think the morning show is great. I think the afternoon show is pretty good, despite, you know, what people have to say about them. I think the midday show is cool. I think all the hosts who are on at night, like Hunter Brody and Dan Wilson and TK, Tom Kelly, I think they all do a very good job. I think where people were pissed about it was where hosts at WIP were pissed about it. And even John Marks reached out. He was like, how could you say something like this when you have worked with these people in your past? And people have had a lot to say about you, but nobody says it, especially people at WIP. So people were upset that he opened his mouth on a podcast with Howard Eskin, who was blacklisted from, you know, the the fucking I'm trying to find the radio as a whole.
yeah.
But
So
I
this
don't
is
know.
what
It's weird
Spike
because
has.
Howard Eskin used to be anti-podcast, and then on his podcast he also was like, "Well, radio is a dying art." Say what you want about it. Who knows? No one actually knows. These stations are never really going to actually come out with the ratings, which people ask for all the time. They don't do it, but uh, it was just a very, very weird situation, especially because it involved his son.
Yeah.
I think
So
people were,
Spike Eskin
you know,
tweeted, "This is disappointing and embarrassing for them. This is the most talented staff WIP ever. This is the most Yeah, that doesn't make sense, but it's the most talented staff WIP ever. Our ratings lap theirs, and we all get along instead of trying to backstab each other like they did. We showed them respect. Sad they can't just enjoy their lives. Also comical to hear them loud, how great podcasts are. Rights to Ricky Sanchez, High Hopes, and Go Birds are all giants. Guess where those guys work? I told him to do a podcast 10 years ago, and he looked at me like I had lobsters crawling out of my eyes. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, listen, I don't, I've said this multiple times. I
But
don't
you
really
don't
listen to the
listen.
radio.
Yeah.
So, I just saw this and sent it to Shy because I knew he would care. Um, but yeah, the only thoughts I really have is it's just weird. It's the son and the dad. Like I actually, when I sent it to Shy, I was like, do Spike Eskin and Howard Eskin not get along? Because I was like,
No,
kind
I
of,
mean, I mean, definitely outside of the industry, they do, from what I think.
yeah.
I
I
don't
mean,
know, but Spike also
we all
Spike also doesn't really talk about his dad on the air because it's a
probably a
weird thing
touchy
to talk
subject.
about. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a very touchy subject. And you also, it's funny because you don't hear callers even talking about it either,
they probably would just.
which would be great radio, by the way, if they were to call and be like, "Ah, Spike, your dad's a creep."
Yeah,
That would be hilarious, but
I just don't much. I don't listen to it. I don't know the people. Um, you know, so I just sent it to Shy because I knew he would care, and you know. I mean, that was insightful to me because I didn't know about the situation. I didn't read up on it. Uh, I didn't even. I should have asked my dad about it because I know he does listen to the radio sometimes. So he probably has some thoughts and opinions. But yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, it's definitely interesting, and it seems like this shit. I'm sure it goes on elsewhere, but a son and a dad fighting over a Philadelphia sports radio station. That's pretty Philadelphia sports radio.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
And I'll see if
it's
they says
fair.
anything today, this afternoon. So, I mean, I
Yeah.
tune in,
Just
but
quickly to wrap it up, interesting conversation came up in the Misclicks group chat this week. The question was, it was an A and B format. It's populated on Twitter, so some of you watching may have seen it. But it was on side A, you had the NHL playoffs, the Masters, the MLB playoffs, and the college football playoff. That was on one side. That was side A. Side B, you had the World Cup, March Madness, the NBA playoffs, and the NFL playoffs. Now, when I saw that, it was a no-brainer for me which side I would pick. I thought one side was actually unfairly better than the other. Now, we had one friend who said they would pick side A, um, not with no basis of what I think the question was asking, because the question was asking which one, which side would you rather be on, which one. You can only watch the side you pick. Like
Mhm.
if you pick side A, you don't get side B. If you pick side B, you don't get side A. So uh, we had a friend who loves baseball who picked side A. So that's I understand that. But then he was like going through reasoning of like watching, and this is where we had brought up the whole like earlier. I said we were talking about our friend Donnie, and I was like, you can't even name five NHL players. He was like, I love the NHL playoffs, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and I even I made it I made it hard. I don't know how hard I would have had to make it, but I was like outside of USA and Canada Olympic players. Name me three NHL players. And then I said name me five, which I don't know why I went up,
Yeah.
but it's also like you think about side A and what I knocked it on was the MLB playoffs are good. They're not my favorites, but it's playoffs, it's good. The NHL playoffs are good. The college football playoff was the worst thing on there for me. I don't really. It's
Yeah, I
too
have my
long.
qualms. I
We've
don't
said
really care about it. Yeah,
it's
I
too
don't
long,
care.
and
Yeah.
our friend had also mentioned how great the Masters are, and Masters Sunday is phenomenal. The thing is, you can hardly watch it.
Nobody, no, but nobody watches the entire Masters. Nobody
No,
watches
you
the
watch. I
entire
watch Sunday. I
Masters.
watch Sunday.
I watched the last day and I watched the first day with the first few holes, and then I walk away from the TV. I'm like,
But
I'm
but they
bored now.
they don't even
I'm bored.
broadcast it though. You have to have like ESPN Plus or
Yeah.
Paramount Plus, and it's like the Rory McIlroy group, the Scotty Scheffler
Hmm.
group. It's like
Yeah.
they've made it difficult to watch. Um, like I said, I said you could give the NFL playoffs and you could give the NBA playoffs to side A, so I only get to watch two tournaments. I would pick the World Cup and March Madness still. Those are the two best events in my opinion.
I mean, the two that I basically went off of was the NFL playoffs and you have March Madness, the two most interesting
Yeah,
playoffs out of
that's
all
the
of them.
NFL playoffs
Now,
is just a bonus to me.
yeah, I mean, the most exciting maybe you could say is side A, but the Flyers haven't been the Stanley Cup
More
playoffs.
exciting than
I don't know, man. I mean, I think it's
I mean, it's
definitely,
not.
I think it's in there with March Madness.
I don't know though if I would say that. The question wasn't specific enough to like. I don't know if it's like your team is in it or if it's just like a you're tuning into a random game. I don't know all that, but we can, for the sake of conversation, say that your team is in all of them. Your team has made it for all of them.
I'm still gonna pick side B.
Yeah, so would I.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we'll have the USA in the World Cup. That'll be a lot of fun. Seeing your team in March Madness is awesome. Um,
But even without watching your team in the World Cup, I mean, that Argentina-France game was
I That's the greatest
unbelievable.
sporting event I've ever watched.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
So
So I'm definitely taking side B.
yeah, I would
I
take
mean,
side B
The
as
Masters,
well.
I'm convinced nobody, even if you have all the streaming services, no one
No
watches the
one's
entire
watching it,
thing.
right?
You're not
I agree.
watching the whole thing. You're on your phone. You're fucking going outside. I hope you're going outside because by that point it's like decently
Yeah,
nice weather.
I can go and play golf.
Yeah, I don't need to fucking watch Scotty Scheffler play 72 holes, whatever,
But
however many
I'll watch
holes in the
Sunday.
Masters.
I'll watch on
Yeah, I'll
Sunday.
watch the last few holes on Sunday. That's all I care about. Last year, um, there was a shooting here in Westchester,
Hmm.
and they like cops were everywhere, and nobody got killed, but like people went into town, and me and my friends went into town before the final holes of the Masters, watched a guy get taken down by police. I don't think he was dead, but basically get tackled in the ground by police, and then we went and watched the final holes of the Masters. And that was fun
Yeah,
to
that's not even
watch
some
because
shit that
it went
happened.
into extra holes, didn't it? It went into like the 19th hole or
Yeah,
something
I
like
think it
that
was a
last year.
playoff.
Yeah.
McElroy blew it, and then he came back and won. But yeah, I mean, it's a good question to conversate over, just because I mean we're sports guys. So but yeah, I would
Who did
take
he
side
face
B.
off in the final hole?
Uh, I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. But glad Roy won. But
I mean, I have no idea who's going to win that. I don't know anything
I don't know.
about.
I'll just
I don't
give
know
me
and I don't
Scotty.
care.
I don't know.
Yeah. I'll probably
He's the
say
best one.
DeChambeau. I don't know.
Nah, give me Scotty. I think it might have been DeChambeau who. No, I
Mm-mm,
don't think it
no.
was.
Because DeChambeau choked at the end, didn't he?
Yeah, it was DeChambeau and
It
McElroy on the final
was it
day.
Justin Thomas?
It could have been.
Yeah, it
That
was
sounds
Justin
like a
Thomas.
decent
Because
guess.
Justin Thomas, I remember I texted our friend Vinny and I was like, yo, bet on Justin Thomas right now. It was like by like the 11th hole. And he was like 8 under or something like that. And everyone was like, I don't know. But
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, good question to have. Uh, you got anything else?
no, that's about it. I got nothing.
Spring break good. Now you're
It was
back.
all right. Just chilled.
Gonna finish strong. Got intramurals still.
We have our playoff game tomorrow. We're gonna get fucking
What,
smoked probably.
give me a
I don't know. I'm taking my talents to officiating next year. I will be officiating basketball in the
nice,
rec league. So
nice.
I'm done playing fucking pickup or done
You gonna
playing
give?
rec. I'm only
Are you
doing
gonna be like
pickup.
a call on nothing or call everything?
I'm gonna be a 50-50 guy. I'm gonna be pretty inconsistent every game because I want
Okay.
to keep them on their toes. I want them to know what kind of mood I'm in. If I like fail an exam that day, then they're fucked because
Yeah,
I'm not calling anything.
that's
There's not going to
fair.
be a single call all
That's
game.
fair.
I'm just going to let them, beat the shit out of each other. And if someone wants to come in my face, whoa, whoa, it's going to be, dang, I should get myself attacked for that. That was pretty fucking bad. But, yeah.
Episode 16. See you next week.